Hey y'all, Eric here. So I wanted to talk to you today since this is a thing with a lot of stuff going on in the news that can be distracting. But if you live in Charlotte, North Carolina, this video is for you about voting. And we're in the throes of early voting. Now, a lot of this stuff is talking about saying, in general, if you live in Charlotte, go vote. Well, it depends on where you live in Charlotte. And I'm going to use myself as an example. The part of Charlotte Mecklenburg County that I live in is not in the city limits. In fact, across the street, they are in the city limits, but on my side of the street, where my neighborhood is, we are not. We are in an unincorporated part of Charlotte, North Carolina, deemed in Mecklenburg County. Mecklenburg County is our jurisdiction with elections. So we can vote for county commissioners. However, at this time, there is no primary for county commissioners. We have primaries going on right now for CMS, Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools, and the mayor of Charlotte, city council representation of district representatives and at-large representatives, and I believe the towns and cities around us, such as um, Mint Hill, Matthews, Pineville. There is a possibility that those municipalities may also be holding elections, but you need to check your voter registration to see if you are supposed to vote. And if you are, please do so and don't wait. Because right now, part of it is the primaries. And a lot of people will skip primaries. These are my words, because they're lazy, waiting to the general election to choose between two people. In this climate, don't be lazy. Do your research. Because being lazy during elections have consequences. And you will get a general election candidate that you probably didn't want if you didn't do your research and vet it out and then vote in the primaries. There are some hotly contested primaries going on with District 1 of CMS. The Republican candidate has asked, based on what I found out, has asked that another Democratic candidate run against the incumbent Melissa Easley to see if that will divide the Democratic votes enough so that this new person will get the Democratic side, and then of course nobody is running against the Republican, and he will win the Republican side, and then in the general election he will take back District 1. Again, elections have consequences, including primaries. Neither one of those candidates, the Republican candidate or the other Democratic candidate, should be in this position. The point of view is to re-elect Melissa Easley to District 1. And I'll tell you, I met her during Huntersville Pride. She nearly, not 100%, but nearly single-handedly brought together Huntersville's first Pride. She has been in CMS as an educator. She is a teacher. She has been on this board for a couple of years, and she's done the work. Do not believe the lies coming from the other opponents, because again, all you have to do is talk to Melissa, like I did when she marched with us in the Charlotte Pride Parade with the Carolinas LGBT Chamber of Commerce. Talk to her. I did. That's why I'm educated. But unfortunately, as I said, I'm in an unincorporated part of Mecklenburg County, which means I cannot vote. If I had, my neighborhood, if we were incorporated into the city, we would be part of Malcolm Graham's district, which is District 2. But if you Google the map of District 2, you'll see particularly the northern side on the west side of I-77, it is chopped up like, what's that cheese that has all the holes in it? The holes are the unincorporated areas. There is a lot of them. And the annexation process it's a journey. So we're looking at that process, but it won't be enough and fast enough in order for us to be part of the city to vote in these municipal elections for 2025. However, the county has the vote on the new transit tax for the rail, roads, and buses that's been approved by the North Carolina legislature to be put on the ballot in November, and we can vote for that. And I will be voting in the affirmative. And because I live on the northwest side, rail only comes up to Johnson C. Smith. I live further out than that. So this tax will actually help extend the rail on the west side up Beatties Ford Road up to the Rosa Parks bus station, which is pretty close to where I live, although I'm a little further out. It would be good if it actually came all the way up Sunset, all the way up Beatties Ford to Sunset, and even further. But that's not the plan at this time. But the extension from Johnson C. Smith up to the Rosa Parks station is a good distance, and it will help a lot of people in this area. Also, with upgrading the buses, with extending light rail up 77 to Mooresville. Now, granted, Matthews was, I will just say it, based on everything that I've read, it seems to me that Matthews was left out of the conversation. And I don't blame them for being against this plan because they were not included in the plan. It seems to me that all the towns around in Mecklenburg County were included except Matthews and the airport. The airport is a logistical nightmare about extending rail out there because the way that the new airport is built, and I lived in Charlotte at the time this new airport was built, and we tried to tell the city and the airport people, if the future is rail and rail is coming to Charlotte, and you want a rail line to come from the city out to the airport, it cannot happen the way that you're building the airport. They didn't listen. And now that the airport is built, because of the way of the design of that corridor, even if they extend the rail line out to the airport, it won't go directly to the airport. There will have to be some type of transportation from the rail line into the airport. Again, you try to tell people, and now they're finding out that they should have listened. Sound familiar? FAFO? But I digress. And so I have some things that I'm going to link into the description of this video to help you understand the primaries are almost over. So you need to get out and vote early. A little bit of the early voting is gone because early voting started in August. And the last day to early vote is September the 6th. That's this coming Saturday. That is the last day for early voting in the primary election. Once September 6th is passed, the primary election, the early voting for primary election is done. The actual voting day for the primaries is September the 9th. Yep, that'll be that Tuesday. Next Tuesday, in fact, where everybody should go out. Now, granted, there's usually low voter turnout for primaries, but the current climate that we're in, I am amazed at the number of people who still don't understand that even local elections have consequences. So you need to get out and vote. If you have the ability to vote, and you're supposed to vote, do so. We're talking about mayors. We're talking about district representatives. As an unincorporated resident, I just found out when I was talking about the annexation process with the city that while I can't vote for the at-large representatives, they actually speak for, part of their duties is to actually speak for the unincorporated residents. I didn't realize that. And then I'm trying to get their ear to help us with the annexation process. But even they aren't on the same page as the annexation place. The annexation department says that I have to have a 100% sign off to be annexed. One of the at-large representatives told me that it just needs to be filled out, and a majority of the residents have to sign off on it. So even they aren't on the same page. And so it's going to be a long process. Even trying to get the county to service our roads, we actually have to have 100% sign off in order for the county to come in and service our roads. And even if they do the inspection, because my neighborhood is nearly 20 years old, and while the roads may have been designed and up to code at that time, that doesn't mean they're up to code now. And that's a possibility that could stop the county from servicing our roads. And those are the ramifications for having a private neighborhood in an unincorporated area. And so I go back to this whole thing about the annexation process and getting the county to service our roads. I can draw a line to the state legislature. And granted, there have been Democratic-controlled legislatures as well as Republican-controlled legislatures. But I can tell you that the annexation process for Charlotte-Mecklenburg is the way it is because of a Republican-controlled legislature that actually tied the hands of Raleigh-Durham and Charlotte-Mecklenburg from doing the annexation that they were doing back in the 90s. My neighborhood actually was slated to be annexed in 2009 and in 2011. But the law was changed in 2010. And so we were barred from being annexed and left to our own devices about servicing our roads. And I'm not going to get into too much of that because it doesn't matter with regard to this video, but it might matter to other neighborhoods. So I'm reminding everybody, if you are within the city of Charlotte, you need to vote. Even if there's nobody running against your district representative, you need to vote. If you live in District 3, please understand that while Tawana Brown may have done the work for some things, do you really want someone to represent you who has not accused, indicted and convicted once, and now indicted a second time for the same thing, fraud? And yet people on the council were trying to go after V. Lyles and other council members about doing things under the table with respect to the chief of police about that contract and paying him off so that he wouldn't sue. Now, we can't know everything that goes on in government, and I'm not sure that we need to know everything that goes on. But in the climate that we're in because of the Trump administration, I'm going to say that we need to know everything that's going on, and we need people who are on the up and up. I'm not asking for perfection, and neither should you. But nobody who represents us should be doing side deals on the side to their benefit. And I'm not going to dive into the Tawana Brown's issue. All you got to do is Google her, and it will pop up. You will see all that. There are two people running against her. They are handicapped because they're running as independents. And this state is so hung up on only having two parties, the Republican and the Democrats, that in order to even get on the ballot, the at-large people who are running as independents or unaffiliated have to get at least 1,400 signatures in the districts that they are running in order, and they have a deadline in order to be on the ballot September the 9th. So they had to do double duty. While they were running around trying to get signatures, they are campaigning at the same time, trying to get volunteers to help them with the signatures, trying to create events to get the signatures. It shouldn't be that way. If somebody wants to run and they're qualified and they get vetted out, they should be able to run no matter if they're a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent or unaffiliated. You can't make somebody join a party. Now, are there parties that are not for the people? Absolutely. Absolutely. Look at our current climate, and you'll understand that. But getting back to Charlotte's municipal elections, if you live within Charlotte city limits, you should go vote. You need to go vote. And I'm going to bring these websites up. You don't have to worry about it. You can pause this video if you want to write them down, but here are the dates. So we are beyond August 8th when the mail-in ballots first went out. August 15th is already passed. That was the last day to register. So if you're not registered to vote, you can't vote, but you might want to talk to the local board of elections down on Kenilworth. The first day of early voting was August 21st. The last day to request an absentee ballot was August 26th. If you are sitting on your absentee ballot, make sure that your ballot is notarized. And here is a note. You do not have to pay to get your absentee ballots notarized. All notaries who are commissioned by the state of North Carolina know this. We cannot charge to have an absentee ballot notarized. I will go ahead and disclose. I am a commissioned notary for the state of North Carolina. I can notarize your absentee ballot. If anybody who's watching this video who lives in Charlotte who needs their ballot notarized, reach out. Or just Google notary near me and start contacting those notaries to see if they can notarize your absentee ballot so that they can be sent back and be a verified, viable ballot. Do not sit on these absentee ballots. And then, like I was saying, the last day for early voting is this coming Saturday, September the 6th. That is the last day for early voting. And then the actual primary election will take place next Tuesday on September the 9th. Next Tuesday is also the deadline, 1 week from today, the deadline to return your absentee ballots for the primary election. You have a week to get those absentee ballots back. And they have to be in the hands of the election officials by the end of voting on September the 9th. I can't stress this enough, and I'll link this information in here. Also, places that you can go vote. I will link that in. So the primary election, the main place to go vote is the Hal Marshall Center on College Street downtown. They were the first place that you could go do early voting. So then other locations were added as of today. So now in the east, you can go to the Independence Regional Library. You can go to the Marion Deal Rec Center on Tyvola Road. You can go to the South County Regional Library on Ray Road, the South Park Regional Library in South Park on Carnegie Boulevard, the Masonic Lodge in Still Creek on Still Creek Road, the University City Library on Water's Edge Village Drive, and the West Boulevard Library on West Boulevard. Those are early voting locations. Like I said, you can go to all these places up until Saturday, September the 6th. On Tuesday, September the 9th, you'll just go to your normal voting precinct that's on your registration card. That's where you'll go to vote. And so I will just wrap this video up reminding you I will link both of these websites into the description of this video. Please share this video with anybody who lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you have an absentee ballot, please, please, please reach out to any notary who is commissioned in North Carolina to get that absentee ballot notarized so that you can get it back on time so it can be counted by the deadline of September the 9th. I will end it here like I normally do. For my candidates, I can't vote, but I can campaign. And this matters to me because I've talked to her. And I've talked to some of the other people. Re-elect Melissa Easley to District 1 for Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. And re-elect LaWanna Page as an at-large representative for Charlotte. The other at-large candidates, you can vote for 4. Then if you live in a particular district, look to see who the candidates are. I will say this. If I lived in District 3, I would not be voting for Tawana Brown. I would not be. No. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. I would not be voting for her. For mayor, Vi Lyles is the best candidate up there. Good, bad, or indifferent, because of what is happening in the city, she is the best candidate. So again, do your research. Vet these out. Primaries matter. Because at the general election in November, we can only vote for who's on that ballot. We can't change. You can write somebody in, but the chances of them getting into that position are next to nothing. It would be almost equal to trying to win the $1.3 billion that's in the Powerball. But best to believe I'm buying my tickets. Because I might not win the 1.3, but I could possibly be one of the 10 people who won $1 million. Or maybe I might be the lucky one on the Saturday draw who won $2 million. I'm not greedy. But anyway, vote, people. Vote. If you can vote, do so. Hashtag elections matter. Hashtag elections have consequences. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.